Alright, what up YouTube? It's Adrian here from Team AES, and I'm here today to present you a deck profile. Now before I show you the deck and what it's all about, I guess this is a bit of an informal introduction to Team AES. AES stands for aesthetic, we're aesthetically pleasing blokes. We're a team situated within Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, and you'll mostly find us at good games on Saturdays, topping the locals or winning the locals and just having a laugh in general. Now as a team, what we aim to bring to you is all the other cliche things that teams are going to bring to YouTube, pack openings, gameplay, all that bullshit, but we can offer a different perspective. We can dick around, be serious at the same time, but we're here to offer you some entertainment and get your legitimate feedback and have a healthy relationship, among these mediums. Anyway, in terms of skill level of our players, I guess we're all intermediate level players. No one wants to hit this professional level. In fact, it's hard to be on a professional level in Australia since the comps you have a year are like your regionals, your 5k and your nats, and that's about it among like major competitions, if you even want to call it that. Me myself, I'm an intermediate skill level player. I've only been playing for about a year, so I'm still learning the game mechanics and whatnot. I believe I've come quite far, but in terms of achievements, I have no real achievements under my belt besides like topping 5k comps, top 4 in that, topping every other locals if I'm not, winning it. And besides that, I came 11th at regionals this year with Glads, which was quite a funny build. It made triple chalice, triple lance, but that's irrelevant. Anyway, I will do a formal introduction video introducing our whole team, bunch of funny cunts, and we do play test 2-3 times a week, sometimes one, it just depends on other commitments, but we can put up videos of us play testing, and we have a great variety of decks. What we can also offer to you as a team is versatility in the way we build decks, as you'll see, especially Fabrice and Matt have some very interesting deck profiles coming up for you. There's like Chaos Samurais and zombies, but that'll all be in other videos. Anyway, onto the deck. Okay, before I proceed, I'd like to note that, well actually I'd like to apologise for any shitty quality, this is being shot on a webcam, the lighting isn't too nice in my room, so doing the best with what I can do. So right, for the deck, we start off with Triple Thunder King. I mean, this card's self-explanatory, he's becoming a staple in like many decks these days, along with plants and GBs and whatnot. But in this deck, he serves a similar purpose. He's there to be there. It's just a force to be reckoned with, I guess. And he stops the searches, he stops the special summons, and he's a great opening turn one. And he makes opponents sweat it. And especially if you have this guy late game and you have moderate control of the board, then your opponent's going to have a lot of trouble getting over it. Next, we got our two breakers. Now, this card isn't typically seen in anti-meta, maybe in some with the sideboard, but I've chosen to main deck this card because through playtesting, this guy has just been phenomenal. You never summon him first turn because he's probably going to get beaten over, or the opponents are going to set chainable cards, but especially going second, your opponent's going to set like the one rogue bottomless or warning. He can help bake that out, or even an MST, as you obviously haven't set yet. So going second, this card's phenomenal. This card's phenomenal, full stop. You've seen at the start of the format, D-Prison wasn't really prominent, but now it's starting to be mained in a lot of people's decks, and Breaker's just baiting out all these pesky back row cards and then allowing it to push through. Next we got here, 2 Doom Calibanite. Now, this card, there's nothing special about this card. This card pretty much just does what he has to do. He stop effects. Now, you can't just, as an anti-meta player, you can't just throw him on the board whenever you feel like it, because people can very easily bait him out with Maxi and Veilers, which are like pretty dead against this deck anyway. So you've got to be smart with your Doom Caliber plays. He's great in 2s though, and he's great pushing through against the Gaurs. Another guy that's great pushing through against the Gaurs is 2 Fossil Diner. Now, I will run this card in 3s when I have access to a 3rd, but in 2s he's good. He's really, 9 times out of 10, he's not a dead draw. And he's beautiful for smartly playing around your opponent. I can give you an example with Dark Worlds, for example. You get their Graffer out, and if you can't remove him from play, he's going to keep coming back. He's a bit of a shit. So if you can get Graffer off the board, then successfully summon a Fossil Diner, then you're laughing because there's not much they can do, especially with my sideboard, which I will show you later on. Next we've got Double DD Crow in the main. Now, Double DD Crow in the main, I'm a bit iffy about it, but it was an experimental choice, but it's turned out for the good. I mean, I just seem to be drawing DD Crow at the right times, and people are going Call, Reborn, and seeing as the main decks in my meta are Plants and Dark World, then his deck's very handy at getting rid of the Graffer, or chaining him to the glow up bulb, or getting rid of their big plays when they summon debris. He's good at neutralizing those plays. People aren't expecting this card in the main, And the small element of surprise really does go a long way. He can be a bit dead against agents, but at the same time, if they drop a Christia, I want to pull one back to hand. It's nice to discard the DD Crows, smashing ground through the Christia and, Fossil Diner for game next turn. Next we've got 2 DD Warrior Lady. I feel a similar way about this card than I do to Doom Caliber Knight. She does what she has to do, but, this deck can struggle against big beaters such as Stardust that can also negate destruction, seeing as their main smashings and stuff. But this card goes hand in hand with the D Prisons. If I don't have a D Prison, I usually got a DD Warrior Lady. And when you want to out those pesky Synchros, or they've got that pesky Searcher face down, you can just push through with DD Warrior Lady. It is a brilliant card, it's great in 2, and it's rarely ever dead. Next we got Double Effect Veiler. It's very standard. I mean, as a stun player, you could be arguing, why doesn't he run Fiendish Chain? But at the same time, we're in a format where Heavy Storm and Triple MST is prominent, and Effect Veil is just a much safer option, and people will be very reluctant to side debunks against me. And if they do, I'll have sided out these cards game 2 and 3, which you'll see why as well. Next we got Gauze, very standard, just Gauze wins games, full stop, there's not much justification there. Got a Blackwing Gale of Whirlwind. He's great for the mirror match, he's great for getting over Stardust, other T-Kings, Lilas, you name it, this guy's very handy at it, and usually he's on the field at the same time. You've got a Thunder King, or a Breaker or something like that, you can halve the attack, go into Arcanite, go into Black Rose, do whatever you like. And next we got BLS, seeing as I got multiple light and dark targets, this guy's often a surprise as well. People aren't going to expect this in anti-meta deck, even though it is a cookie cutter chaos format, sorry. It's just very interesting to drop the dude and see people's reactions. This card doesn't need justification either, it's so fucking busted. Next we've got Triple Duality here, in the bottom left corner, and Triple Duality is very standard. I was playing 2 for a long time, pretty much because I was fussy. I wouldn't play with 1 super, but Triple Duality is needed. You want to open up with it turn 1, you want to be pulling cards like Dust Shoot and Heavy and T-King to hand and Fossil Diner, and you want to be making your opponent sweat it. You need this card to, live through the late game in those tough games, and picking them up late game, early game, it really doesn't matter. It's just a fantastic card, and you have to run it in 3s. Since the only monster I'm essentially special summoning is like the odd Synchro or BLS, and it barely ever happens. Got Double MST. I love running this card in 3s, but it's not necessary at all with Double Breaker. I got enough Spell Trap Destruction. You have to play your MSTs pretty intelligently in this deck, and the main purpose that the MST serves in this deck is to get rid of a Bottomless or a Warning or a D-Prison that's going to get rid of my Thunder King or Fossil Diner. Got Double Smashing Ground, simply because I had some room in the main, and it's just a 1-for-1 card that rarely fails. Once again, it's good for getting over things like T-King and the Cyber Dragons that are sided in, and it has great synergy with my side deck, which you will see once again. Book of Moon, Dark Hole, Reborn, Heavy Storm, all very standard cards. I mean, no justification needed there at all. We've got the Warning Brigade here, no justification. Double Bottomless, some people at the start of the format said this card's absolutely unnecessary, especially because they believed Priority was going so quickly. This is still a wonderful card, especially because Agents and Dark Worlds are prominent, and T-Kings within the plan deck. It's a great card to have mained. You can always just set this card and you can ask, call Priority, and they're going to have the Hyperion and they're going to pop your back row, and you're just going to chain this. It's absolutely devastating. Next I got Double D Prison, which I do intend on maining 3, because this is just another card that really does fail me. It's a great card to set, it's a great out to mini synchros, it's just generally an out. Next we got Mirror Force, and the main reason behind running the Mirror Force is because there are actually quite a few bad players within my meta, and you can bait players into summoning 2-3 monsters at a time, and you can actually net pluses off Mirror Force within my meta especially, and it just helps in general. It's just a staple card. Next here we got Torrential Tribute. Not much to say about this card. I don't understand why some people don't play it. Even if you're Titan Space, this card's absolutely brilliant. It's just one of those cards that's proactive in avoiding a big play. It's wonderful against plants, besides using the Torrential and the Tengu, which I don't know why you do, but you can neutralize so many plays with it. It's just wonderful to change things. Next I have a 7 Tools here. Now, I am testing this card, and it's been working out surprisingly well, but it most likely is going to end up being a 3rd D Prison. 7 Tools is another card. You have to, with all the Spell Trap Destruction, it can be quite dead if people MST'd and whatnot. So that's probably why it will be a third D prison, but you know, it does what it has to do, and in those counter trap wars that I really need to win to maintain that field presence, just to stun my opponent really. You know, it's a handy card to have. Then trap does shoot. Now, running the triple duality and the trap does shoot, I mean, you draw into dust shoot a lot of the time, you draw into heavy storm, you put a lot of pressure on your opponent, and there's not much to say about dust shoot besides it literally can win games. If it doesn't win games, you can pretty much tell whatever telegraph play your opponent's going to make. Okay, now onto the side deck. Okay, so this is the side deck, and I'll take you for a quick run through what it's all about. First, I've got Double Cyber Dragon. I mean, this card is wonderful against a lot of decks. There's a lot of Karakuri and Gadget decks coming up within the meta, so, you know, summon him, scoop up for Chimera Tech, potential 4000 damage if my opponent's absolutely retarded. This is a great card against X-Saber. This card punishes GBs, just gets over everything, bashes into those Laquarias with the boosted attacks, just absolutely murders them. And if there is a mirror match, you know, this card gets over the Thunder Kings, forces the Thunder King negation, gets over the Doom Culls and whatever else. Next I got Double Banisher of Radiance. Can't even read the title or see the picture, this blurry piece of shit. Banisher of Radiance is one of those cards I was maining, but obviously has little synergy with Reborn and Effect Veil. I'd prefer to main those cards. Also, I was finding it's really hard to keep this card protected. Having this 1600 attack, it's like, I'm not going to be a big beater, but at the same time I'm prone to bottomless. A lot of people hate this card. He's not as, you know, able to get around cards like Fossil Diner does, or because I protect Fossil Diner a lot more intently as well. This card's great to side in, especially because he protects my Doom Caliber Knight, because people, if they're smart enough, they'll trade off like a Glow Up Bulb summon or a Veil or a Maxi, which they got dead in their hand anyway, against my Doom Caliber Knight. They obviously can't do that because all cards get removed from play, and he's great. Has great synergy with like my Thrashing Grounds and my Mirror Force and whatnot. Any destruction cards I generally have, or any cards I can destroy in battle, he has great synergy with, that also get removed. And it's great if my opponent's going first and they set like a Searcher or go Tour Guide Sangan, you know, they pretty much need the Searcher to get their hand to go off. Banisher has a big no to that, and it often catches a lot of people off surprise since this card's pretty much been redundant with Tengu out, but you know, I still would side him in against plans, so I just got to be careful how I play my cards, and I often would side him in along with Cyber Dragons, punch over those T-King. Next we got Kaiku, the Ghost Destroyer. He serves a similar purpose to Banisher, and I mean, without Veilers and whatnot, you know, this guy is pretty much the only thing he fears is back row, which Breakers and stuff take care of. Anyway, when this guy goes off against Dark Worlds, it chews away the food, or you could be removing like a Dandy and a Gub, or you know, stuff like that that plans pretty much rely on to get those Synchro Summon plays off, and they can't hit their pluses. And if you can manage to keep Kaiku on the field for a couple of turns, mid to late game, it's pretty much over, because he's a gigantic beta 1-8 attack, and his effect is absolutely spastic. Next we got Double D-Fisher. Now, this card goes hand in hand with Banisher. If I don't draw a Banisher, I want to draw the D-Fisher, and I'm going to protect it. If I can draw both, that's actually a good thing. I can play one or the other. But either way, trying to get over these plant decks. I even can play this deck against agents, give them absolutely no food for their Christia or Hyperion, but yeah, pretty much to beat plants or Dark Worlds, and if I can keep this card on the field for a long time, then it does the exact same thing as Kaiku and Banisher, absolutely annihilates my opponent. I mean, I am going to have a tough game one against plants, agents, and Dark World, so I really need to rely on my side deck if I don't win game 1 to bring game 2 and 3 home, which the DD Crow is in the main for a reason, but I don't want to main these cards just for consistency issues. Okay, I've got Double Leech in the Light. The one face down here is the Proxy. I don't know where my second is right now. Second, just not on me. Anyway, Leech in the Light, self-explanatory. When there's a Christia or a Hyperion, you know, most of my monsters have 1900 attack and whatnot. And I just use Leech in the Light to get over these monsters, then summon a Dino, and they pretty much have no answer besides a Dark Hole or something like that. And a lot of the time, they're not going to draw that. You've got the single MST. We're maining 2 and 2 Breakers. But, you know, you come across Gravekeepers, Anti-Meta GBs, things with backroads. If I need the third Chainable Destruction, then it's there, and you know, often I do slide it in. Got one Light Imprisoning Mirror here. You know, it's just an answer to agents in general. It's a wonderful card to train to Hyperion's effect. Yeah, it pretty much neutralizes the agents matchup. Here with the Glare we've got a Starlight Road, so when I do put in these cards, the D-Fishers and the Light Imprisoning Mirror, and I'm trying to just literally stun my opponent, you know, if they do get the lucky Black Rose off or the lucky Heavy Storm off, I can Starlight Road and get the Stardust out, and then literally it is game. with a banisher or a defisher up on the board with a light imprisoning mirror and whatnot, just keep punching over my opponent's cards, removing, and that's pretty much game. Next we've got 2 Black Horn of Heaven. This is primarily for the Agents matchup. It's beautiful against Christia or Hyperion. A lot of people don't expect this card. I mean, this card's actually a little bit prominent here, as a lot of good players used it at the Australian Nationals, and I still believe it's a great card, and I use it for that purpose. And I mean, in terms of synergy, this side deck as a whole goes great with my destruction cards, as I've said, the smashings, the mirrors, and it's great to remove my opponent's cards and then summon a diner, so their graveyard's dead, and at the same time the special summoning's dead. And this side deck is testing very nicely, and I probably will use this deck at Saturday. Alright guys, so that's the deck. I don't need to take you through extra, as it is anti-meta. You know, I might sync with Veil every once in a while, I might get 2 4s off and 1 for a Trish, but I doubt it. There's just Utopias, and I'll get about getting a Roach soon. Just the card's actually very bad with its nimble attack. But it's still a good card, and I'll still invest in it and whatnot, I guess. Anyway, that's it. I hope you enjoy my deck profile. If you have any suggestions, questions, constructive criticism, then, you know, comment and whatnot, and just subscribe and, you know, help support us get a little bit of a base happening on YouTube. Alright, thanks a heap guys.